$239 billion. At the time when we were debating and voting on the budget, it was 237. The comptroller's come out with a new number. It's a $239 billion. So somewhere they missed $2 billion in there, but it's a $239 billion budget, more than Texas and Florida combined. 1.5 times per capita what California spends. We don't have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem in New York. And we continue to see people fleeing the state. So we spend too much money. That's the reality of it.
Good things in it though for the North Country, schools, infrastructure, chips.
When you're spending $239 billion, there better be a lot of good stuff in there. I mean, then it's a matter of efficiency. Are we spending $239 billion to get $200 billion of good stuff? Well, why don't we, get out the paring knife and and the microscope or the magnifying glass, and let's get that 239 closer to the 200 or whatever. Of course, there's good stuff in there. There's funding in there for roads and bridges. But could there be more? What are our priorities? 2.4 billion of that 239 billion is to a self-inflicted illegal immigration crisis in New York City. We sent $2.4 billion there this year, and almost $2 billion last year. So there's $4.5 billion that would go a long way towards fixing roads and bridges, taking care of a school project at Boquete Valley. They did the merger, and they were promised a building, and there was a miscommunication or misunderstanding between the state ed and the contractor and the school about how much of that was going to be reimbursable by the state. And so now that's a hole in their budget. I mean, that $2.4 billion that's going to illegals. And by the way, we're taking care. New York City is taking that money, and they are giving $1,000 a month debit cards to illegal immigrants, cash. There will be people that say that's great, but there's a lot more people that are furious by that.
And no indication from the federal government that they're ready to step up and take over sending that money to New York. That's what the governor has been talking about, trying to get them to do that.
They're the same party. If she can't get something out of Joe Biden, I don't know. They should be able. They wanted this. This is their playbook. So all right, but the money hasn't come. So sorry, you can't blame Republicans on that one, right?
It is an election year. You don't have an opponent, which as a politician is always a relief. But as we head into the fall election, as we go through the summer and head into the fall election, what do you think voters are going to be thinking about when they head to the polls this fall?
I don't know how anyone's going to the polls this fall not thinking about the economy. How far does your paycheck go compared to it did 4 years ago? What crime has done over the last 4 years? What the border has done over the last 4 years? I think that everywhere. I know this district certainly, but I would think every part of the country they're going to be looking at. What's happening with my wallet, inflation and the affordability. That's a factor for all of us. Crime is an issue. It's of national discussion right now, and certainly the border. Those are the three things that I think are going to be front and center in most people's minds. I think the other side of the aisle is going to try to distract from that because none of those three issues are good for Democrats. So they're going to try to talk about other social issues that they want to crystallize support around, and they're going to try to fearmonger, President Trump and what he would bring to the table. So I don't think that they can run on issues. I think that they're going to run on fear of other lesser important issues. And but I think the average person is saying, my God, it's impossible to make my paycheck do what it did 4 years ago. My God, we're being overrun at the border. Who's in charge? Why is the border a mess? And why is crime out of control? If those three things are the three things that are on their minds, it will be a very good night for Republicans nationally and a bad night for Democrats. But most people vote their wallet, and if that's true, then Democrats have a lot to worry about in New York.
And when you talk about the border, obviously the major problems are at the southern border, but are you hearing from your counties here along the northern border about the increase in the number of migrants coming across the northern border?
I have, Sheriff Cook in Franklin County and Sheriff Favreau in Clinton County here. They both talked to me numerous times frequently about border issues. I was recently, a month or so ago, on the border with Sheriff Favreau, right up on the border, seeing where they're crossing, and talking to people that in Moores, talking to people in Champlain. I mean, they're finding illegal migrants in their outhouses and in sheds and barns I know statistically the Swanton sector, which runs from New Hampshire to about Watertown, I believe, that section of the Canadian border has had more illegal crossings than the rest of the northern border combined. So they're coming in from Montreal, and they're not all coming here to do good. Not everyone that's coming here is like, had this idea on their own, I'm gonna go and chase the American dream. A large number of them, sure, absolutely. But there will be some of them that were sent here by a bad state actor for, to either lighten their own burden or worse, to create mischief, here in our country.
And many crossing the border illegally, if they don't have records, then they're released. And is that putting a pressure on northern New York counties? Are they suddenly having migrants showing up in their community centers and needing assistance?
So what I've been told by the county officials and the sheriffs is that, fortunately, at least to this point, most of them are passing through. They're on their way somewhere else. They're on their way to New York City, where they're going to get the $1,000 debit card that we are helping pay for. But they're going elsewhere. And again, some are going to cross and they're going to take jobs that other people don't want. Is there a value to the economy? Of course. But you can't ignore the law. So if you don't like the law, fix the law. Don't ignore the law. Don't violate the law with an executive order, and then blame somebody else saying you need to give me a law. Do it the right way, fix it. No, fortunately to this point, they're just passing through for the most part. But I can tell you, it's a burden on the sheriffs and on our border patrol. And again, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know who got away that's here to do bad.